A very warm welcome, everybody, and welcome to Ultimate Pool Lecture, the weekly show where we look at everything going on in the Ultimate Pool world, which is right now an awful lot. We've had the Pro Series, Women's Series, Challenger Series, Champions League, and a couple of Masters as well as Scott Ryan doing his forfeit as well. We're going to show you that later on in the show. But joining us on this week's show is the woman that did this.
Absolutely brilliant.
Go on, Danielle.
Absolutely incredible. A brilliant performance from Danielle Randle. Gets her hands on her first title. She can celebrate now. Celebrates with her family. She's worked so hard to get her hands on this title. This will mean so much.
Absolutely fantastic. We also on the show have the man that did this.
There will be some shot here to continue this visit.
Oh, what an effort. Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness me. The magician pulls one of his biggest rabbits out of his hat that he's ever pulled.
That's right, Danielle Randle and Chris Melling joined Scott Ryan and myself on this week's show. Great to have you all on the show this week. Danielle, first time on the show for you. Great to have you on. Congratulations on a fantastic win at the weekend, but it is great to have you on the show.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here.
We're going to get a deeper dive into your victory very shortly. Chris, back on the show once again. Big week for you as well. You won a title. You've gone to number one in the provisional rankings. Big week all round, really.
Yeah, definitely. Really enjoy Blackpool for some reason. I've got a very good record there, obviously, winning a couple of world titles and winning 2 World Masters and a few of the Ultimate Pool tours. So yeah, it's one of my favourite places.
Yeah, and I guess it's one of your favourite places as well, Scott, because you've finally done your forfeit. I guess you're a relieved man this week.
Definitely relieved. Certainly didn't think that my legs would still be intact after the cold sea water, but I was warmed up by quite a lot of the pool action in Blackpool this weekend, which, you know, at times was sublime, at other times utterly bizarre, and a totally unexpected plethora of winners on the Challenger Series as well, which was incredible.
Yeah, a few storylines coming out of the weekend, plenty of winners, but no apologies for getting started with the Women's Series. Danielle, congratulations on getting your hands on your first title, beating Harriet Haynes in the final, the number one player. You've knocked out the number one and the number two back to back to get your hands on the title. And I know how close you've been in the past and how much you work hard and how much it means to you. You must be so thrilled to finally get your hands on a major trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just watching that clip back there, like, you had me in tears. Yeah, I still haven't got over it, to be honest. It's been a long time coming, and I've had a lot of setbacks. I've got a lot of finals. Yeah, just glad I got over the line, and yeah, it feels amazing.
I mean, during the match, I mean, you were able to keep yourself really composed. You could see in between frames, you were breathing hard. You were trying to sort of stay in the zone. You know, checking in with your sort of friends and family behind you as well. But at what point did you think it's there for me? I've got the breakthrough right now.
To be honest, so when I got to kind of the later stages, I think it started kind of in the quarterfinals. So I played really well against Sarah. I think I had 2 dishes on the trot and Snooker myself on the black for a 3rd dish in a row, or a 4th. And then I said, right, it just seems like I'm kind of getting my head together in the later stages, and I felt a lot more composed and a lot more comfortable in front of the cameras and the crowds. I felt quite more nervous in the semi, but in the final I felt quite relaxed, surprisingly. I think it's because the fact I've got to a few different finals and different competitions now. I kind of had the experience. And I was talking to Chris just before, and he said, I could tell you're nervous, just use your nerves to your advantage. And I did. It just helped me relax and, yeah, go over the line.
Yeah, you certainly you did look relaxed in that final, obviously racing out to a nice 3-0 lead, but pegged back to 3-2, and it looked like Harriet was going to get back to 3-3. At that point, you must have thought, oh no, not again, but you were able just to stay composed at the key moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was still some 19 minutes left on the clock or something like that. Um, and I think there was a toilet break in between, and there was just loads of thoughts going in through my head, saying this can't happen. I'm not letting it happen. Um, just let it be this one time. I just like I said, just focusing on my breathing, just trying not to overthink everything. And I said, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
I mean, Chris, I guess it's been an awful long time since you've been in that position to win your first major title, but I guess you must still remember those sort of moments and how hard it can be to make that breakthrough.
Yeah, definitely. My first major, I was 18. It was my second year on the UK pool tour, as it was called then. I can't actually remember. It might have been Appleton who I beat in the final, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, that was going on 26 years ago. So, they're all very important, no matter whether you win one last week or 25 years ago. They're all as important as each other, and you got to cement your name in history.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And Danielle, you've done that now. I mean, Scott, when we were messaging each other during the match, and you said to me how emotional you were watching it, and I was starting to feel quite emotional because I knew it would be an emotional scene at the end, and it really was.
Well, you weren't supposed to reveal the fact that Danielle's victory actually did bring me to tears, and that's probably because Danielle might not want to admit this, but we've spent a lot of time talking about kind of the mental side of the game and what's kind of held her back. So for me, I've been with her through several times where she's had a tough defeat, and I've seen kind of how much it's affected her, that tough defeat. And kind of, I know this is really crazy. We were talking about Danielle the week before, as in this must be the breakthrough year for Danielle. She's kind of got to do it. And I was hoping that she hadn't listened to it, but that she accosted me on the way through Blackpool to say she had actually listened to the show, which was a bit awkward, if I'm honest. But like I say, listen, how it must have felt for Danielle, how it must have felt for her family. Legitimately, it's the first time in my life Paul's brought me to tears, because I know how much she wanted it and I know how much it meant to her. And I'll tell you what, that for me was the absolute moment of the week, and it's going to take something huge to top that as moment of the year, because people don't see in the background what it takes to become a champion. And this lady has sacrificed everything to become a champion. She's sacrificed her home. She's sacrificed her family. She's come to England to become a champion, and she deserves this stage. She deserves this win. And listen, I couldn't be more happier for you, Danielle, because you really deserve it.
Thank you. You're bringing me to tears here. Stop.
Well, let me ask you, what was the reaction like once I mean, obviously in the venue, you've got your sister there, you've got some friends there as well. But when you actually got out of the venue, your phone must have been blowing up. And what's it been like for the last week or so since you actually won the title?
Yeah, like you said, it's been just blowing up crazy. I've always been kind of fortunate. I've had a lot of support from back home over in Ireland, and people have been on the journey with me, kind of messaging me saying, look, you're going to cross the line soon. It's going to reach that time that you're just going to have that breakthrough and you're going to kick on. And I was always messaging back saying, oh, maybe we'll see. And yeah, I think when I got there, I didn't realize how much like support I had. Loads of people saying, we're really, really happy with you. We see all the hard work you've done behind the scenes, and it's nice to see kind of someone new in the winner's circle. And yeah, it's just been amazing. It really, really has. I'm lucky.
And I know that you've been back on the table since. Were you pretty quickly back on the table as well? Already looking forward to the next event?
Yeah, definitely. Just earlier on today, I've played a race scene for a tenner. I had a little knock this morning with my friend Craig, and yeah, it's just any kind of time, few hours a day I have of just in the club practicing. I love it. But yeah, I'm just doing all the extra work that I can.
Wow, congratulations again. It really was amazing. I mean, I'm very neutral in the commentary box, but I was feeling emotional because I know how much it meant to you. I saw how some of the tough losses, how hard it is for you to take, and it's amazing to see you finally break through the line. So congratulations with that. Whilst talking about the mini series, though, we must mention as well there was the plate event. Sarah Trudgick was able to take down the plate title. A very good win for her, and obviously disappointment not making it through to the main event. But there's a trophy and a good prize money on the end of the line, and Sarah takes down the plate title. Now let's have a little chat about the Pro Series. Chris, title number 4, second Pro Series event for you, and amazing achievement, really. To me, I felt like you came into the weekend with a kind of almost a carefree exhibition kind of vibe going on. You were putting in so many amazing shots and clearances, but even if that was the case, you were still able to sort of hang in there and win the moments and get over the line and win a final fairly comfortably in the end.
Yeah, it's pretty strange, really, because deep down, I didn't think I was playing that well, believe it or not. And sometimes I'm like that. I sometimes play matches where I win comfortably, and everybody who's watching saying, "Oh, you're playing great," but in my own mind, I think I'm just about playing okay. And that's my own mind playing tricks on me. I mean, I spoke to Danielle before she played the final upstairs at the bar, and she was telling me that she was very nervous. She was shaking, and I just said to her, I said, "Look, if you're nervous and you're shaking, you're ready. That means you're going to win. If you're not nervous, you're not ready to win." And it's very important that you do the right things, especially in finals. Obviously, we spoke about earlier where Danielle's been in a lot of finals, and I know personally how much hard work she puts in. She's texted me now and again. She Snapchats me now and again, wanting to practice sometimes. And that's what you need to do. You need to play all the time, every minute of the day, as much as you can. And honestly, if you want to get to the top, just follow what Danielle Randle does, because to get where she's got and get beat so many times, and then to come back and win, and you saw the emotion, and everybody gets emotional. I've been emotional sometimes when I've won, and I think from now on she'll kick on and win a lot more events, because that same thing happened with Jason Twist. Jason Twist didn't win an event for many a year. Then all of a sudden he won the tour, he won pro events, he won world championships, and he just kicked on. And I think that's what's going to happen with Danielle. And obviously she's a lot younger than me, so she's going to be around a lot longer than me. But yeah, I was happy with the way I played at the weekend. I put in some good performances against Simon, and towards the end of the match against, I think it was Luke, I let him back in the match from being 7-2 in front. I should have closed the game out, which could have ended differently, but obviously the shootout is kind of in my favour the majority of the time. But yeah, I felt all in all that my game's back. I'm back to my best. I don't think I'm as good as Potter as I ever was, but I think my all-round game is better than it's ever been. So yeah, I can't wait for the next event, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you that question about where your game ranks right now compared to sort of all time before, and you've answered it in the same way. Because for me, the fact that you're actually playing this game more consistently than you have done for probably 10, 15 years, although I'm about to ask this question as you're about to go off to Poland to play 9-ball, but it must help you that you are playing this game predominantly at the moment, and you just look, well, you have been the most consistent player with Ultimate Pool. The rankings don't really lie.
Yeah, I think over the 2 years, I think I've been the most consistent player. I think I've been in 7 finals, 2 or 3 semi-finals, 2 or 3 quarter-finals, and it only gets tougher and tougher, because the expectancy from other players and people who are watching that you're going to keep doing it, and unfortunately, the nature of the game doesn't allow you to keep doing that. You can practice all you want, but you still need that luck on the day. I haven't practiced as much as what people think. I have been putting the odd few hours in here and there and sharpening up, but like I've said before in interviews, when I do the practice, I'm mainly practicing coming out of snookers and mainly my break, because I do know that if I break well, then I'm going to be very difficult to beat.
Well, we're going to come on to getting out of snookers very, very shortly. I just want to ask you one more question before we do that. This week, you won your 4th title with Ultimate Pool, your 2nd Pro Series event. You are the provisional number 1, pipping your good mate Nick Hill, who remains the number 1 seed for the year, but you are provisionally number 1 now. And also, you are the only man to have won on the Pro Series for 3 straight years, and only Shane can catch you on that. You've run every year on Ultimate Pool. Which of those achievements is the sort of standout for you?
It's a tough one, really. I think they're all standouts for me, because I genuinely didn't think I was going to win some of them. The last one, I'll be honest, in Blackpool, I actually said to Arfan, and Arfan will quote me on this because I'd had a few beers, and it was about 2:30 in the morning. And Arfan said, "Oh, you're playing at 10 o'clock. You know, you need to get some sleep." And I actually turned around to him, which I don't actually remember saying it, but he said I said it, and I believed him. And he turned around and I said, "I don't care who I play, they're getting beat." And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I was just drunk, and I probably didn't mean it. But you know, for somehow I won 8-0.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, what a way to prepare for a match. That's quite incredible. Yeah, and I fully believe Arfan. I fully believe that happened as well. Chris, you mentioned getting
and the crazy thing is that it's not the right thing to do, and I'd never tell anybody or coach anybody to do that. You know, I think that's the first time I've ever had a drink at an event for, I bet it's about 5 years. I don't do it, to be honest with you. It's not a routine of mine, but you know, I saw a few friends over there, and we went out for a quiet drink, which turned into an hectic drink, which is what happens when you go out with Tom Ford.
Yeah, well, he went the other way. So you had a great result off the back of it. His results didn't quite go his way. Actually, Scott, let's quickly touch on that. You know, unfortunately, it was billed as the sort of invasion of the snooker players. Only Joe O'Connor and Tom Ford were able to make it for a variety of reasons, not least because Mark Allen won the snooker event on at the same time. Neither was he really able to make much of an impact in the event.
No, but don't take any credit away from their opponents who played really well. Tom actually did show some absolute glimpses of brilliance, as did Joe. Remember, these guys have got to play their way in. In terms of a snooker event, it's not set up the same way as an ultimate pool event, in the sense of you have a players' lounge in the snooker events, whereas you don't have that in Blackpool. The players mix freely with everybody else at the event. It's a bit of a different feel. It's going to take them a little bit of time to get used to that, but I saw enough from both to say that they're going to be very dangerous on Ultimate Pool this season.
Yeah, I know that Joe O'Connor really enjoyed his matches. He stayed around and did some filming as well with Ultimate Pool, and it sounds, listening to you, Chris, like Tom enjoyed his weekend if nothing else, and looking forward to seeing them both back.
Yeah, and like I said before in previous interviews, for me, the standout snooker players are obviously going to be the guys that have played pool before. You know, Mark Selby's won the World Championship, brilliant player. You know, I think he's a 3 or 4 time world snooker champion. So he knows his way around a pool table, as does Tom Ford. He's lost in the quarterfinal. Joe O'Connor, I've known Joe since he was 8 years old. Brilliant player. You know, he's going to be tough to beat. And obviously we saw Mark Allen play, and Ryan Day. Ryan Day played well, to be fair, but we haven't seen Mark Williams, but we know he's got a table at home. Maguire, he didn't really get going when he played. He played down in Stoke the other week. But, you know, these guys are going to get more used to the table, the balls, the way it reacts. And don't get me wrong, I don't think, apart from Tom, Joe, or maybe Mark, I don't think any of them are going to get to a final or win one, but they can certainly beat anybody.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those fascinating stories throughout the year whenever we get to see them play. Tom's playing on Monday night, and we just saw Mark Allen play last Monday as well. So we are going to see plenty of them throughout the year, but unfortunately not as much as we would have liked this past weekend. Chris, can't have you on Ultimate Pool Extra without talking about that shot. You mentioned about practicing getting out of snookers. Well, talk us through this unbelievable shot that you played. It kind of went viral on the internet again. And who would have thought you'd have ended up in The Guardian? I mean, that's how far this went. It was in The Guardian. But let's take a look at the unbelievable shot.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy shot that I played, to be honest, because to go through that gap with the yellow and the 8-ball is just ridiculous. If I hit the yellow, I'm perfect. If I hit the 8-ball, I'm perfect. And somehow I found the gap with reverse screw and right-hand side. But I literally had 15 seconds to take the shot, and it's very difficult to work the angles out. Luckily for me, I actually practiced this shot a lot, and I did actually practice it 10 minutes before I played my matches. So I kind of knew where to hit. Obviously need that little bit of luck as well, and for it to go in, I knew once it dropped, I knew I was perfect on the 8-ball. But for it to happen on live television, I mean, it's just a dream come true, really.
I mean, how tight was that gap? Because I mean, I've watched it back 1,000 times, and the pocket obviously plays generous, but I don't think you can actually you can't. That's the only way you could pot it, because if you go any higher, you're going to hit the 8-ball. So I just don't think the shot was unbelievable for that to happen.
Well, the hardest part was judging the pace of the cushions, because the softer you hit that shot, the more it's going to slide down the table. The harder you hit that shot, the more it's going to square up off the third cushion. So I had to not just avoid the yellow at the top, which if you watch the shot back, I literally miss the yellow by millimetres, and then I miss the 8-ball by millimetres. So any harder, any softer, I would have either fouled or not potted the ball. But luckily for me, it dropped.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people since that happened have tried to recreate the shot themselves, and they set it up in such a generous way that I don't think anyone fully realizes that shot was all but not on. I mean, it really is. It feels like a 1 in a million shot. That the sort of thing that only you could do, Chris. To be honest, to get it that close to the yellow, that close to the 8-ball, and make it sort of slide in. It's just unreal.
Well,
and the thing.
Well, you say that, Simon, but I coached a girl last week who we all know called Megan Proctor. And she's actually related to me, and I didn't know until a few years ago that we're actually related. And she came over to Keighley with Rachel, and she had a practice, and I was showing her things. I was showing her pattern play, how to break, things like that. And I started showing her the kicking systems at the end. And I'm not exaggerating now. If you asked her now, she got 8 out of the 10 kick shots. And she was like completely amazed. And when I show her, or when I show anybody, it's kind of like blatantly obvious what I'm doing. But unless you're shown how to do it, then you're never going to learn it.
Well, it gives us a great opportunity to plug the app and ultimatepool.tv, because some of your kicking systems that you've learned are on there as well. You've done some good videos on those, so thank you, Chris, for those. But amazing shot, amazing to see it go viral once again. It's not the first time you've had a shot go viral, and I'm pretty sure it won't be the last either. Scott, we're talking about the Pro Series. We have to talk about Tom Cousins, 3rd title in 6 weeks. Another unbelievable achievement for Tom, and it probably wasn't at his best in terms of he wasn't playing quite as well as he did, in December when he won, but it was still a brilliant performance, and to get his 3rd title so quickly, amazing.
Well, he's gone from the perennial underachiever to an overachiever in the last several weeks. Listen, he's just ruthless. Once he gets in front of people, he doesn't look like he's going to lose at any point. But he didn't play as well as he played in the previous 2 tournaments, but he still did enough to get it done. And maybe there's a little bit of fear factor creeping in with Tom. Again, that he certainly had it in spells over his career. When the guy's on it, he is incredibly difficult to beat. And fair play, for everybody who gave him a lot of stick last season, he's certainly proving everybody wrong right now.
Yeah, and he's also proving that winning is a habit. And Daniel, I guess that's something that, for you looking at that, you're like, well, you've got your first win now. Winning's become a habit, and he's just won 3 times in 6 weeks. You must take some inspiration from that yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think once you get over the line, you kind of know how to do it, and it's just given me the confidence. So yeah, hopefully I can just do it now.
Yeah, the big thing with Tom is the fact that he puts it down to the fact that he was given a little kick up the butt, and he's now practicing really hard. And you've already got that, Danielle, because you're already practicing really, really hard. So confidence of winning, I'm hoping we see more from you now.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. I'm definitely putting in the hours. So yeah, hopefully it'll all pay off.
It's good to hear. And another title on the board for Tom. So he's sort of right up there in the provisional rankings as well. That's going to be a fascinating battle all year long to see who could finish the year as the number 1. Right now, it's Chris Melling, just over Mick Hill. Tom Cousins is right in there as well. Scott, we need to talk about the Challenger Series. We saw a brilliant final. It really was a brilliant final. We saw Tom Jones, though, win the title, beating Connor Tracy. I want to show you, and Chris, I'm actually interested to get your thoughts on this as well. I don't know if you saw the clearance he made, Chris, to win that title. You're probably out having a few drinks with Tom Ford at the time, but let's show you the clearance he made now. There's about 2 or 3 minutes left on the clock. It's all square, and this is the situation that he finds himself in. And it really is an unbelievable finish considering the situation of the match.
There is a yellow in the middle there that goes.
Yeah, and in the words of Tom Jones, it's not unusual.
I bet he's heard that before.
Oh, what a nudge.
Wow,
But
what a clearance
yeah,
this is going to. I actually haven't seen this, but from what I'm looking at quickly now, wow, how on earth does he clear these? He's got to pop the one in the middle, one in the corner, and knock the yellow out, surely.
yeah, he's on the same wavelength as you, but it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, and you see, this might be the difference between the top amateurs and the top professionals, because the top professionals now would probably flick this, where I think he'll probably whack it.
Yeah.
Yep, he's just whacked into it. Well, he's had a nice little roll, to be fair.
Yeah.
Most of the
He's not on
professionals
it,
would have
though.
hit that half ball to leave it into the corner, you see.
Yeah, more of a touch shot than actually just hoping.
Yeah, what does he do here? Double the yellow?
Treble.
Treble. Wow, what a shot this is.
This is for the
Wow.
title as well, race to 7.
And this is probably the toughest shot of them all, because he's meant to make this.
Yeah.
After potting the rest of the balls. What a shot this must be. Oh, fair play.
Unbelievable stuff from Tom Jones with all the pressure on the world on him.
Ridiculous.
I mean, it's unreal, isn't it? Unbelievable finish for a challenger to pull up that finish at that moment. Oh, amazing achievement for Tom Jones to get his hands on his first challenger title. Yeah, truly brilliant. I felt for Connor Tracy because I know how much work he puts in, but you can't take anything away from Tom Jones there. That was brilliant. I mean, Danielle, what'd you rate that clearance there?
Oh, it's brilliant. I remember I just finished my match and I saw the last 2 balls when I came into the arena. So, and I was just like, what has just happened here? It's
You missed all the
unbelievable.
fun.
Yeah, I know, I couldn't believe it. I practiced with Connor a couple of times down in Coventry, so I was kind of more cheering for him. It's good to see him losing, but yeah, Tom definitely deserved it. It's a finish of a lifetime.
Yeah, it really was a finish of a lifetime, and it puts him very much up there in the rankings and the challenges, and obviously he gets the title and very big prize money for a challenger title as well. We also had another challenger event, Challenger 2. This time it was David Hogan that won this one, more Irish success. Former snooker player, now turning his hand to the small table game. He won it in a 6-red shootout, but he may be the only player to ever have won a title via a 6-red shootout with not ever actually playing involved in a 6-red shootout, because John Egan went first in the 6-red shootout and gave up with about 35 seconds on the clock, 2 balls left to pot, and just handed the title over. Scott, it was slightly surreal scenes really in terms of the way to win the title, and for me it's one of the sort of storylines of the weekend, because we saw more 6-red shootouts in this Pro Series event than we've seen any of the others combined, the whole lot combined. Are we seeing too many 6-red shootouts now?
Well, there were 9 in the across the 2 Pro Series events, and I'll be honest with you, actually, to me, it did feel like a bit of overkill. And I'm sorry, we've got Chris on the on the show, but in his match in particular against Luke Gilbert, and I don't mean this in any way, shape, or form disrespectful. You'd let Luke back into the match, and you kind of looked like you were swaying a bit on the ropes in terms of it, and then it's been switched over to something that kind of Chris has said himself is brilliant at in terms of a 6-red shootout. You've got Simon Fitzsimmons, who's beaten twice in a weekend in a 6-red shootout. I don't know. Listen, there are plenty of people out there that absolutely love the 6-red shootout, and I understand why. When it's done right, it's a phenomenal spectacle and something that can be really enjoyed. But I can't help feeling that at the tour weekends, you kind of want the purest winner possible. And I don't mean to say that somebody who wins a 6-red shootout, I mean, it's great, but I'd probably prefer the drama of a final frame shootout if I had my pick, as opposed to a 6-red shootout. Chris Melling is definitely not going to agree with me because he's just won a massive title with a 6-red shootout along the way. But listen, Egan was wrong in conceding the 6-red shootout before Hogan's gone. You never know what's going to happen. Sometimes when there's a longer time posted, sometimes people freeze under that pressure. So, he's going to look back and reflect upon that and probably not be too enamored with himself. But it's the heat of the moment. It's sport. It's something that happens. But from my perspective, I think less 6-red shootouts on the Pro Series and the Challenger Series, and let's reserve them for special events?
Well, I want to just highlight the reason why we're seeing more 6 red shootouts. We changed the races from races to 7 to races to 8 with the same match clock. Now, I was massively pro that decision, but because of that decision, we saw a lot more matches go to the clock rather than actually be won by a player. So that's why it happened. And I'm sort of with you, really. I do like the 6 red shootout. It fits perfectly on a Monday night in the Champions League, in the pairs. It is just the perfect fit. It's the perfect fit for a shootout. For a Pro Series event, I'm not so sure. I don't mind it if it comes because there's no other way, but actually, when there's so many of them, it just feels a little bit too much. But I want to ask you, Chris. Actually, I'm going to ask you in this way: your match against Luke Gilbert, would you the 6 red shootout, which you're quite rightly, I think, favours you more than most against most players. Maybe I don't know. Luke will probably say that he fancies the job in a 6 red as well, but. At that point, losing 5 straight frames to 7-7, would you have had a tougher job winning a 6 red shootout or winning a deciding frame?
No, I was just keeping the crowd entertained, Simon.
Of course.
No, listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I could have rolled the ball in the corner. I was dead straight to get on the 8 ball, which I needed a slight angle, and I tried to pinch the pocket a little bit too much. A lot of people at home might have thought I missed that shot, but I did miss it because I was playing it slightly thinner to try and pinch the pocket, which is why I missed. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. I agree with Scott. I'd gone, to be honest. And I also knew that if it went to 7-7 in a shootout, without sounding arrogant or big-headed, I know I'm at least 5 seconds faster than most people. So I knew as long as I can post under 25, I've got a good chance. And obviously when I won the lag and Luke posted 30 seconds, I thought, well, I can walk round and get these.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought you'd say, really. And yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us are against the 6 reds. It's more a case of time and place. It's something I hope Ultimate Pool take a look at. Who knows? We'll see what happens on that front. I do want to ask one more question, and feel free to not answer this, Chris, because I don't want to get you in trouble. Are the pockets too big?
They're as big as a hippo's yawn.
Would you like to see the pockets get tighter? Do you think it would become a better spectacle?
Well, to be honest with you, it's the old scenario. They're the same size for everybody. You know, yes, I do agree that the more accurate potter would win on a tighter table, but we all know what we're paying in for. We all know what we're playing. We all know that they're generous. You know, and to the viewers out there that think they're actually cut bigger, they're not. I've measured the pockets. They're exact same cut, same depth, same shelf. Everything is exactly the same. For me, they need to stop shining the balls after every match. Because I think what happens is you get a film on the balls. Me and Gareth have spoke about it, and they tend to, when they hit the cushion, they slide in off the cushion, and I think that's what it is. So I think maybe, you know, kind of change it up a little bit and maybe only shine them once a day, because at the end of the day, the only people that are touching them are the referees. The players don't touch them, so they can't get dirty. You know, so I think that's maybe an option, maybe an experiment we could look towards. And obviously Ultimate Pool's all about learning. You know, mistakes happen sometimes and not everybody gets everything right, but as long as we learn from it and we move forward and we do it all for the better of the game and, you know, the better for the spectator, then why not try it?
Yeah, I'm with you, actually. I agree 100% with the balls. They get, for those that don't know, the balls are on sort of a rotation, and the minute they've been used for a 50-minute match, they get polished and they're ready for the next match, and they're sort of rotating around on the main table. And we see it, you know, on the Monday nights, we see it at the Pro Series. It's just the same deal. So maybe it is something worth experimenting with. I'm sure that's something that Ultimate will be looking at. But yeah, no, I would love to see him a little bit tighter as a spectacle. I think it would be absolutely fantastic to see him just that smidge tighter. But we might lose the miracle shots like the one Chris played that went viral and ended up in the Guardian, because that did slide in generously. Scott, picking battle, you got nowhere actually. You did not get close with any of yours. I did manage to get one right because I picked Chris Melling to win the title. I also hit the post. I had Jamie Burnett, I had Amy Beecham, who both made semi-finals in their events. So I'll take a point for that, and you get absolutely nothing for yours. We'll update the scores at the end of the show, as well as your forfeit as well. Yeah, let's move on. Champions League. We had the Champions League this week. Jordan Shepherd came through a 6-red shootout over Phil Parkin. Doesn't really tell the full story the whole night. Scott, did the right player come through?
No, absolutely not. And I back Sheppy to come through. I thought Phil Parkin was fantastic to watch, and he's going to feel utterly hard done by. He had a brain freeze against Carl Morris, I think, but he's going to walk away from that better for the experience. And he's really impressed me, Phil, since he's became an ultimate pool professional. But Sheppy will probably tell you by his own admission that he got out of jail there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Phil made one mistake on the night. He missed one pot against Carl Morris. It cost him the match. That got him into a 6-red shootout. And those that are aware that Sheppy and Carl Morris aren't the best of friends, they've had a little falling out before in the Pro Series. Who would have thought that the night would have ended with Sheppy sitting there watching and rooting for Carl Morris to win that match? And credit to Carl, actually, he was a true professional. He fought as hard in that match as he ever did. But who would have thought that? Who would have? I mean, Chris, can you believe that we've had a night where Sheppy sat there wanting Carl to win a match? It's incredible.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of history of them too, haven't they? And listen, I've known Carl a long, long time, and I know what he's like on the table. And when I played him at the weekend, he actually turned at me and he said, "Do I still get in your head?" I know exactly what he's trying to do, and to be perfectly honest with you, he never really did get in my head. I was just a bit young and naive, and obviously now I'm a bit old and experienced. So he never actually got in my head. And one of the referees actually said before I played Carl, "You 1-0 down, you're late." And I turned around just for a joke and I said, "Well, he's going to need it," just for a joke. And I ended up beating him 8-0.
Yeah, that was this weekend, wasn't it? You were 8-0 this weekend. Yeah, that was. And he'd just come through a really good victory over John McAllister as well, 8-7, and then all of a sudden you turn up and he doesn't really get much of a go. Interesting character. He is absolutely box office, whether you like him or not. He is absolutely box office. He did come up short, but he did Sheppy a favour this week. The other member of the group, Mark Allen, got to see Mark Allen in action again. Hadn't touched a pool table since the last time he played at the Players' Championship, and he'd just come off a big win in the snooker. So I don't think we can read too much into his performance. Not that he played particularly badly. It's just the nature of the beast. It's the way the game goes sometimes. Short races. He was in a couple of the matches and they went against him. So looking forward to seeing Mark Allen when we next get to see him play with Ultimate Pool. But big congratulations to him for his victory in the snooker as well. It's fantastic to see. Right, we need to look at next week's group, Scott, and have a couple of picks on this one. This is the lineup we have coming up on Monday night, 6:30 on Viaplay, Ultimate Pool TV, and a whole host of other stations around the world. Ronan McCarthy, the world champion. David McNamara, former junior world champion. Tom Ford, who is the snooker star in this group, and Drew Hughes, the Welshman, the new professional in this group. Scott, your pick first, I believe? Or no, it's my pick first, isn't it?
Yeah, it's your pick first.
My pick first, because you had Jordan Shepherd. You got it right last week.
Right.
So a point will be earned there. Oh, I don't know what to do here.
Horrible
these
group.
picks are unbelievable. How do you pick a winner here? I'm gonna rule out Drew Hughes, even though I know how good a player he is, just simply because it's going to be his first taste of this sort of stuff. Tom Ford, I'm expecting to go a lot better than he did at the Pro Series weekend. I just think he's going to play like he did last time he was there at Players, and I actually think the 15 seconds a shot plays into his hands. So I think he's going to fly. I think McNamara is flying at the moment. I really do. I think I'm edging McNamara's way. I think Ronan, since his great run last year, he's on a bit of a dip in form. He's not quite playing as well as he did. So, Tom Ford, go on then. Let's see a snooker player come through. I'm going Tom Ford.
Okay, and actually I take into account everything you've just said there, and I've actually been really impressed with David McNamara over the last few pro events. Good guy, Deej, and I'm going to go for Mr. McNamara.
Would you have gone for McNamara if I hadn't picked first? Would Tom have been in your reckoning?
I would have picked McNamara first.
Yeah, no, I was pretty close to it myself. Amazing considering the world champions in this group. Chris, do you fancy a pick?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Ronan's the most experienced out of the four, but the clock is always against Ronan, and if it does go to a shootout, we all due respect, he's probably the slowest of the three, even though he's the current world champion and he's a great player. I think I'd have gone for 40, to be honest, just because I know at some point he's going to click. If he breaks well and pots the ball, he's probably going to clear up 90% of the time, as are the rest of the players. But I just think he's got that little bit something extra.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to struggle at 15 seconds a shot. Danielle, nice to have you back. I know we lost you for a few minutes there. But that's okay. You're a Women's Series champion now. You can do whatever you like. Do you want to have a pick on this group? Feel free to sit on the fence, but if you want to have a pick, go for it.
So I think I'm gonna go with Deej, just because I know how close he's getting every time, and I know how much work he's putting in. So yeah, I'd really like to see Deej win this.
Yeah, and he's always entertaining as well. So that is Monday night at 6:30 on Viaplay Ultimate Pool TV. Make sure you tune in and watch that one. It should be a good group. Right, we need to talk about the Masters now. And because of when we filmed last week's Xtra, we actually didn't. We filmed it when Masters was on, so we didn't know the result. We now do know the result. Ben Flack came through, beat Connor Jones in the final. Also beat Wade Morley in a 6-red shootout. So congratulations to me. I got that pick right. I'm very happy with that. Scott, you got it wrong. You went for Connor. Emma Cunningham was the other member of that group. She lost to Connor in the first match. And then yesterday, because we're filming this on Thursday, we saw Craig Lakin come through, beating Chris Day in the group final, which means it's a win for you, Scott. You got that one right. I had Chris Day. You had Craig Lakin. The other two members of that group, Ilda Machado and Tom Price, fairly comfortable wins for the two Ultimate Pool pros. Let's have a look at what's coming up this Wednesday night on Ultimate Pool TV and the Ultimate Pool app. This is the lineup: Christophe Lambert, Richard Jones, John Sullivan, and David Thompson. And make sure you make a note, new time, 6 o'clock. This is Wednesday, the 1st of February. Over to you, Scott, your first pick.
Listen, I'm gonna get this short and sweet. It's got to be Christophe Lambert. John Sullivan obviously dropped off the pro series, the professional rankings towards the tail end of last season. Christophe Lambert is a class act. The longer races will suit Christophe, and I fully expect Christophe to come through.
Yeah, I do as well. I fully expect Christophe to come through this group. I think it's a nice group for him. I don't know a huge amount about the other two, but I guess I'm going to have to pick the soul man. I'm going to have to pick John Sullivan. Maybe the fact that he's no longer an Ultimate Pool professional, he can come in there and just have some fun. Rankings don't matter. The match doesn't matter. He can just enjoy himself, express himself. And when he does that, you never know. He does have some ability. But yeah, I guess I got to go for that. Danielle, Chris, either of you want to have a pick on this week's Masters?
I think I'd just go with Christophe. I can't see the others putting up as much of a fight as he would. I think he's got a lot more experience. Yeah, definitely Christophe for me.
Yeah, me too. Chris?
Yeah, a bit of a tough one, really, because a lot of you guys probably don't know Richard Jones from the 9-ball circuit. Well, Richard's a former European Tour winner, so he knows how to win on the big stage. For me, not quite sure where his game's at in regards to playing under the clock and a race to 4. So for me, I've got to go John Sullivan. I've got to go for the soul man. Long-time friend, known him since I was 15, 16 years old, and when he clicks, he's an unbelievable player.
Yeah, good man. At least I get some, if I get it wrong, I get it wrong with Chris now, so I feel a little bit better about it. But there we go. So that is Wednesday night. Tune in, 6 o'clock. Make sure you remember that new time, Ultimate Pool TV and the Ultimate Pool app for the Masters. Scott, we need to update our scores then, because we've had quite a few picks over the last week or so. You won 2, and I managed to win 2 as well. You had Sheppy and Craig Lakin, both won for you. Chris Melling and Ben Flack won for me. So that updates the score, and it now looks like this. 4-3, I am now ahead, so I still lead. On to the bit of the show I've been looking forward to the most. We were in Blackpool this week, and Scott, having not done his forfeit last time you were in Blackpool, all sorts of excuses coming out. Not the fact that it was, -9 up there or anything like that. This time round, you did do it. We went to try and do it once, and we got sent away by the Coast Guard. We went back out, and we got to actually finally see you do your forfeit. And I actually think you got very, very lucky because the sun was shining. Take a look at this.
Right. So what's the rule here? What have you got to go in for? What? 10 minutes? Well, 20? Well, or is it just a case get in, get your head under the water?
I did a little bit of research last night online, and apparently hypothermia kicks in at about 5 minutes, so I'll be in there for a good 5 seconds.
Can you swim?
Luckily, yes.
That's a shame.
Well, it's a shame. It's a shame for you, but lucky for me that I can actually swim.
Okay, let's go and do it then. This should be some fun. Scott, here we are. Final moments before you'll go out to the ocean, and what this does is, to me, it really proves that you know nothing about pool. You've picked badly all year long. I've had to actually tank a few weeks to allow you to be as close as you were, because it's not good if I'd won with 3 months to go. But finally, your forfeit's here.
We also have the legal battle going on, which may end up seeing you in the ocean as well, because we do know that you cheated throughout this picking battle. Let's make no mistake about that. But listen, I'm a man of my word. I'm just about to do this. I'm just about to put my life at risk for the game of pool.
I'll be honest with you, this is really disappointing. The sun's out, it's a really nice day. I almost fancy a swim myself. You got very lucky.
Would you like to come in with me?
No.
Okay. Shall we get this show on the road?
Do it.
Okay.
Here we go then.
3, 2, 1. It's got the microphone
Oh, I want him to trip over now. Oh, I want him to trip over now. Oh,
that is cold.
Oh, Scott.
Swim around a bit.
Oh, I mean, that doesn't count. Get in there. What are you doing? Get in there.
The walk back is tougher than the running.
I'm holding your warm clothes, so I'm going to walk away from you.
Thank you, sir.
Come here, Scott, so you're out the sun.
Oh, out in the sun.
Out the...
I want to be in the sun.
Mate, fair play. You fell over, face planted as well.
I know. It was an incredible experience.
But you feel good now?
Oh, I feel so alive. I feel so cold. I need to get in. It's freezing.
Let's stay out here and talk about that for another 15, 20 minutes.
My feet won't allow it. Thank you, Simon.
Fair play. Best of luck next year.
Well done, Simon.
Scott, fair play for doing it. I mean, you half-heartedly did it. You got really lucky, though, because it was cold up there. The sun was shining. It was quite mild. I didn't even need a jacket on. It was so nice. You got really lucky.
You're actually joking. I got lucky. Literally on the way back to the hotel, my legs didn't work anymore. So if you remember, you got back to the hotel 10 minutes before me, because it took me 10 minutes to get my legs going again after, and you just left me behind. You just didn't care. The second the cameras went off, you just went off on your own way. It was horrible. It was really dangerous. It was like -3 there, and you expected me to do that. The one good thing I did learn, though, is I do need to go to the gym after seeing myself coming out of that water soaked. It was no James Bond, was it?
Oh, come on, guys. Let's give him a mark out of 10 for his efforts there. Danielle, what are you giving him? Feel free to be
I'll give him
honest.
a solid 10.
Oh,
yeah, no, I'll give him a solid 10. I know how cold it was there. Like, yeah, fair play.
Chris, come on. Mark him out to 3, 2.
Well, I know how cold the sea is in there, so I'll probably give you a 5. I were expecting the Sea Life Centre to come looking for you.
Oh, that's brilliant! I absolutely love it. Well, Scott, I'm going to give you 1 out of 10 because you didn't go in, you didn't go deep enough for me. But anyway, congratulations, you have done it. I bet you're feeling very, very relieved. We do need to come up with a forfeit for next year's picking battle for you to do. Our cameraman Simon Cameron, he's
Simon.
out. Sorry,
Simon. If we make it a round of you buying a round of drinks at the bar, we know that would probably be the worst forfeit we could ever put in place for you.
You're like a one-trick pony with that joke. I mean, we've heard the joke before. I was going to say our cameraman's out in Sweden doing some cold weather training, so maybe that's something we need to look at. We'll certainly come up with something. If anyone's got any ideas, then reach out to us on socials, and we'll see what we can do. That is the end of the show. Thank you all for being on. Danielle, thank you for being on the show. Congratulations once again on your first title. I'm sure it will not be your last. I expect the next one to follow very quickly. I know you've got some big events coming up as well. Chris, I know you're off to Poland very, very soon. Congratulations on your 4th title and jumping up to number 1 provisionally. And best of luck in Poland. I hope you go really, really well. I'd love to see you win that title. And Scott, thank you for joining me on the show as you always do. It's a lot of fun having you on the show. Join us again next week. We'll be back to review everything that happens this week, which is the Champions League, which is the Masters. Make sure you tune in on Monday at 6:30, Wednesday at 6 o'clock for all the action. And we'll be back next week. We'll see you then.
We'll be right back.